The ladies of The View had their own thoughts on the so-called feud between Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders. Now, this is the feud where someone, or at least a few people from her campaign, leaked to CNN that Elizabeth Warren had a conversation with Bernie Sanders back in December of 2018, where Sanders allegedly told Warren that he didn't believe a woman could be elected as president. Now, we've talked about this a lot. We've provided evidence to indicate that he's very supportive of women. He encouraged her to run in 2016. So we know that that's not who Bernie Sanders is, but all of that doesn't really matter to the ladies of The View because they're gonna have a conversation sharing their opinions from the most ignorant standpoint I have seen. So let's take a look at the first clip.
I mean, everybody has conversations like that. Why is this a big story?
It's a big story because he hurt Hillary Clinton so much in the last election. And it's a big story because while he has a good reputation on Capitol Hill, he does as being a congenial senator with other senators, his supporters have a really bad reputation, meaning the Bernie bros. It's actually one of the few things that really connects liberal pundits and conservative female pundits together is there's just a level of misogyny, but he has a problem with women, and he has for a long time. Look, I don't want another misogynist as president. No. Okay, I mean, I think we're all women in this country are sick of it, and I have always thought he has had a problem with women.
No one, God. Not a single person can show us evidence of him having problems with women.
But you had it right there, Meghan McCain. She doesn't like him, so why should a liberal?
So the media and his political opponents will paint this narrative. The media will assist them on that and just regurgitate stories without providing any evidence to back up these claims that he's a misogynist. And then that's it, that's the narrative, right? Like it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if there's no proof. It doesn't matter if it's been debunked a million times with videos that we've shown you on this show, with the votes that he's cast when it comes to empowering women. None of that matters, none of that ever gets brought up. Look, this is how the media, they just single-handedly, constantly destruct any campaign or any candidate that they don't like.
And right there, it sounded like, I didn't watch the full thing because it's The View and I don't watch The View. But it sounded like Joy Behar initially was defending Bernie, kind of.
It sounded like she was saying that
at least saying it's a non-story,
right.
It's campaigning. So then someone, I think Meghan McCain said, oh, he's gonna do what he did before. And even Joy was like, oh yeah, no, he was bad in 2016.
He wasn't bad in 2016.
Exactly,
He's
it's
infuriating. He's running in a primary, guys. What the hell? What do you think a primary is for? To play patty cakes? Is a primary to do like hopscotch on the debate stage? That's not what a primary is. He has to differentiate himself from his candidates.
And he was so nice to Hillary Clinton. They really don't think that there was a 2016 primary election.
Bernie
they
was
think
asked.
Hillary ran and Bernie was annoying on the side. They really do think that.
They do.
They don't think that we actually had a chance to choose between two different candidates. And sometimes it gets dirty, but 2016 was way less dirty than Hillary Clinton's campaign against Barack Obama.
100%.
It is so infuriating, and also we lived through that experience. So we went through this long primary, and then eventually Hillary Clinton is the nominee. So then Bernie Sanders decides, you know what? I disagree with her in a million different ways, but I'm gonna support her for president.
And campaign on her behalf.
And we, similarly, like Bernie Sanders, campaigned for her because it was obvious that she'd be
No, we did not campaign for her.
I said that people should vote for her in the same way that Bernie Sanders was saying it.
I don't think that's campaigning for her. I
No, not campaigning. We
begrudgingly
weren't doing
voted
events
for her because I did not want
Okay,
Trump to
then
win.
we disagree. But I like you can read in Bernie Sanders' book, he lays out there was never a doubt in his mind that she would be a million times better than Donald Trump. And I felt similarly. And we were attacked at the time for advocating along the lines of Bernie Sanders. And the insult to injury is, after all of that, after being attacked, now years later, it's as if none of that actually happened. And Bernie Sanders and all of his supporters just wanted Donald Trump to be president.
During the debates in 2016, the primary debates, at one point, Bernie Sanders was asked about Hillary Clinton's emails. And what did he do? First of all, for any shady, dirty, below the belt politician, they would totally it would be a layup, right? They'd take that opportunity to bash Hillary Clinton. He didn't do that. He's like, I don't care about her emails. Let's talk about the issues.
He was so gentle, so polite to her.
No, but this is why.
And he gets no credit for everything he did to try to help her.
He never will, which is why, Bernie, take the gloves off. They're gonna go after you no matter what. obviously don't do personal attacks. I don't think that doesn't suit anyone, and it's a bad idea. But I think that he needs to be a little more forceful in talking about how his policies are better than everyone else's, in talking about how his record is better than everyone else's, in talking about how he has been consistent more than any other politician I have personally ever seen, okay? So he needs, like, playing nice is not gonna get them to play fair with you, right? Yeah. So you're the best candidate, own it. And show the world, and don't let them, intimidate you from doing that. And I'm not saying he's being intimidated, but I just think that I
think he's being himself. I think this is who he is.
Yeah, but like, the gloves need to come off when it comes to these smears, and he needs to fight back a little more aggressively. With that said, here's Abby Huntsman piling on.
I experienced it firsthand when I did the Bill Maher show. I was sitting on the Bill Maher panel with him, and I was young. I was like 24, 25, and he was doing his thing and talking with his friend like this.
Something?
And I mean,
we've shown a clip.
He basically didn't even realize I was sitting there or existed. It was kind of like this, and finally it got so bad that I had to literally physically grab his hand and take it down. But Do I think he's purposely trying to make people feel? No, but it looks bad. Yeah. And I think over time it becomes a narrative, like you're saying, Meghan. And in this environment, that doesn't go. It surprises me that he has the following that he does, even with women, when he does things like this.
Hey, they acknowledge that he has a following with women. That they don't usually do that.
Okay, so Abby Huntsman was offended by Bernie Sanders and his body language. His body language was not inviting or nice enough for her. I mean, look, I do this show with Cenk every day, right? Usually. Sometimes after I make a point, I look him in the eye and I make a point. Sometimes he doesn't look me right back in the eye and make a point. He looks at the camera. I am offended by that. How dare he look into the camera rather than address me by looking me in? Like, it's stupid. It's stupid, right? These are nonsense talking points that have nothing to do with policy, that do nothing to improve the lives of the American people. They're not having a single discussion about what he has to offer or what he's bringing to the table. Not once did that come up in the context of this conversation that the New York Times has referred to as the most important political news show in America, okay? Not once. This is how gross, shallow, and superficial our media is. Yeah. But there's more. Let's go to Joy Behar.
I just hope that when the candidate emerges, whoever it is, maybe Biden, maybe Klobuchar, I don't know who it's going to be yet. I just hope that all the Bernie people get behind that candidate. I hope that they are not as self-destructive as a lot of Trump voters who vote against their own interests.
It's ahistorical. That's simply not an accurate description of what happened in 2016.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because they don't cite any evidence of anything they're saying and they get away with it. And they still get these glowing reports in the New York Times about how this is the most important political show in the country. Finally, Meghan McCain and Sunny Hostin.
I had a conversation with a politician last night and we were talking about the likelihood of there being a fractured convention is everyone should at this point expect it because I don't think Bernie and his supporters are gonna let this go much like they did last time. And it will hurt the principle just like he really hurt Hillary.
Hillary's book, she says some of his supporters, the so-called Bernie bros, took to harassing my supporters online. It got ugly and more than a little sexist. That's from Hillary.
Remember in like the close-up of his face, he looks like he was sucking on a lemon when they were like showing her, and then his brother made this whole thing, and it wasn't the show of dignity and solidarity that I think she had hoped.
Oh my God, like did you guys, his facial expression just was not like, it was not nice. And I like don't know what he was thinking, and like he didn't exactly say anything offensive to women or like about women,
anything,
but like his face, like I just didn't like his face, you know? His face wasn't good. So New York Times, please write about my expert commentary. I get paid millions of dollars to sound like a moron on daytime television.
And she is 50 times more important than you and I combined, which is crazy. I'm just glad that she's looking out for Hillary Clinton, who she totally supported. She's always looking out for us, Meghan McCain. She just has the best interests of the Democratic Party at heart.
I know, John, but like,
it's so fake and disingenuous.
She's just looking out for the millions of men and women who are gonna take to the polls and might not know that Bernie Sanders has a face that I don't like.
Exactly.
Okay? And then finally, Whoopi Goldberg. Just one more video on this.
Listen, Bernie Bros, if you're out there, and keep your emails because I don't care. But this is really about the country. This is not about being a bro or a girlfriend. It's not about any of that. If he is not the candidate, get your behinds in gear. Get your behinds in gear. And stop pretending that you're looking for him to actually do something that's meaningful for everybody in the nation. Either we're going to try to make this change together, whoever the person is, or we're not. And it'd be nice to do it with you, but we can do it without you. We don't want to, but you can't do what you did 4 years ago. It's just not right.
They didn't. They were twice as supportive of Hillary Clinton as Hillary Clinton's primary supporters were of Barack Obama the first time around. That is just purely factual, verifiable information that nobody accepts.
I just want to understand something because there's a giant contradiction in this entire segment. So did Bernie supporters cost Hillary Clinton the election? Or didn't they? Because in that last clip we showed you, Whoopi Goldberg is like, we can do this without you guys, okay? We can do this without you Bernie bros. But okay, if that were the case, first of all, this whole conversation is about how Bernie ruined Hillary Clinton's chances of running, of winning when, by the way, is that okay? Is that okay to just excuse all the mistakes and flaws of a candidate and blame everything on their opponent? Like, has there been a conversation about what Hillary Clinton did wrong?
I mean, I think everybody wants to have one reason that makes it so that they were right. Everybody has, the election came down to one thing, and it's the thing that I was warning you about. That's everyone. It's a different thing for different people, but that's very human to think that it's the one thing that I was right about. It's just so frustrating because I love Whoopi in so many movies and in Star Trek: The Next Generation. She was great. To see her spread the Bernie bro thing, like how many times do we need to look at the actual base of support for these different candidates? It's just not true. It's just not true. And it's also incredibly inconvenient for people like the cast of The View and probably some other people too, that when this thing is done, if Bernie is not the nominee, and I hope to God that he is, but if he's not, yes, he's going to, it doesn't matter if it's Biden, if it's Buttigieg, if it's Warren, if it's whoever, he's going to try to get them elected. The same as he did in 2016. They want to pretend that it didn't happen there. They want to pretend that it's not going to happen. It did and it will. Hopefully it doesn't. Hopefully he's the nominee. But if he's not, he's going to do everything he can, far more than almost everyone else in the country, to try to make sure that Donald Trump doesn't get reelected.
You call out corruption, you call out the most powerful people in the country. You want to create a system that's more, equal for everyone, and they will come at you viciously. They don't even need evidence for their smears.